cybersecurity is a topic that generates a lot of heat, but not a lot of light. And everyone's getting themselves worked up about cyber this, attack that, intellectual property this. And the reality is that's not going to get better if we take no action.
It is about the resilience of the networks. If we want to have continuous provision of internet services, of telecommunication services, that means that the networks have to be resilient, they have to be secured. It's not necessarily about military aspects and about defense. It's also not about crime and criminality only. It includes defense, it includes criminality, any type of hacking, misusing intellectual property rights, entering into bank accounts, etc., etc. But it also is about the resilience of the communication, the resilience of the network to provide any type of services.
So what is at stake is that we will begin to stop using technology to advance the use of education and health and stopping crime, because that's where technology is used. We will begin to become more cautious about innovations and about devices, and I think that will send the global economies backwards, not forwards.
The European Union clearly has a role in policy coordination, but because it's also a fundamental security issue and has other broader interests as well as sort of defence, industrial espionage, those aspects, then member governments clearly are also deeply involved in it as well.
I would very much like to see a coordination, a single person who would be in charge of that. It's not very likely. If there is a single point of coordination, there should be a very good system of coordination between the different units of the European Commission.
The role at a European level is going to have to be to encourage more collaboration together between security authorities and agencies in countries. It's not going to be some sort of unilateral policy that comes out of the European Union.
The approach of cybersecurity should be to create minimum standards for all the countries, to create the possibility for the European Union to coordinate their efforts, and then to make possible the representation of the European Union as such towards the third countries.
What I would recommend to governments around the world, including the EU, is come out with a top 10 very simple things that everyone can do. It doesn't mean you don't do the big policy work, doesn't mean that you don't do the diplomatic work, doesn't mean you don't focus on standards, but make it practical to everyone's daily lives.
We have to adopt, when speaking about cybersecurity, not the restrictive approach, not to use some parts of internet if we cannot deal with it, but rather to look for partnership with industries and to use the tools of the technology in order to implement the cybersecurity measures.
I am a bit suspicious about standardization in the world of security because it has to evolve and change all the time. That people are inventing new viruses and new mechanisms every second as we speak. So security products have got to be updated and be flexible all the time.
But when you begin to look at it from a consumer perspective, there is no definition of what good looks like. So what is a good safe browser? What is a good antivirus product? What's a good firewall? So until we can answer these questions, consumers and businesses are very much in the dark.
It's very important that whatever decisions are taken, they are technology neutral and company neutral. They don't put any company in a favorable position at the extent of the others. The beauty of internet is that you have plenty of possibility for small and medium-sized developers, and this has to be the approach.
The big companies who have global monitoring networks will have a crucial role to play in those security products and in helping governments and large organisations protect their interests, because they're the ones that are going to be vulnerable to the very large-scale attacks. But we still need the smaller companies to be engaged in that, because they're the ones which will come up with inventive and interesting ideas.
We want more products, we want more innovation, we want to cram more things in, we want more user choice. And when you get that level of sophistication and flexibility, there is always the risk of a potential vulnerability.
This is not more control on the internet, but this is more guarantees that internet is going to be there whenever we need it.